But as Rooster gets closer, he's not going to believe his eyes, because what's going to happen is this aircraft is actually going to be a Su-75. When it comes to Top Gun 3, there's a few key things that are going to need to be included to have this movie outshine Top Gun 2 Maverick. At the end of the day, there's gotta be an adaptation of the mission to surpass what happened in Top Gun 2. The way that we're gonna do this is we're gonna intertwine 5th generation fighters. The movie is gonna start out with Rooster, Miles Teller, who is essentially gonna be Maverick's wingman, being sent on a routine training mission in the Middle East when he gets called in to execute and prosecute an aircraft flying out of a country that is probably going to be represented by Iran. Now, when I flew and targeted aircraft that were potentially coming out of Iran, the thing I noticed is that these could be so many different things that you really had no idea what you were going up against, because you didn't know what had actually been maintained and what was being put up in the air by Iran that day. Could be a drone, could be an F-14, could be something that was brought into their country by Russia or some other state like China that we just didn't know about yet. So on the day when I targeted this unknown aircraft flying in and around the country of Iran, we're going to intertwine that story. So Rooster is going to be tasked to target this aircraft. Pyramid, who is the headquarters, is going to direct him to move from his training mission to go to prosecute this aircraft. Now, all the training missions over in the Middle East, in this case, are going to be flown with live ammunition just in case something pops up and they need to go take care of business. Rooster is going to be tasked to attack this aircraft. As he begins to target it with his radar, he's going to see that it's saying that it's an F-14, and him flying an F-18 going up against an F-14, it's not going to be a big deal because the weapon ranges of the F-18 are going to be so much better than the F-14 that he's going up against to fight. Rooster is going to engage this aircraft, and he's going to have to get a visual ID in order to prosecute it. So as he gets closer, he realizes, yep, it's showing on my radar that it's an F-14, no big deal. But as Rooster gets closer, he's not going to believe his eyes, because what's going to happen is this aircraft is actually going to be a Su-75. The Su-75 was basically carrying something that was jamming Rooster's aircraft and making him think that it was just a measly F-14. No offense to you F-14 lovers out there. I think it's an awesome jet as well. So the Su-75 is going to jettison whatever was making Rooster's jet think that it wasn't a stealth aircraft, and then all of a sudden it's going to start turning and burning with Rooster, and this Su-75 is going to have some moves. The Su-75 is a Russian aircraft meant to mimic the US F-35. Rooster is going to put up the best fight that he possibly can. He's going to try to execute the best dogfighting that he's ever done in his entire life. As he showed in Top Gun Maverick, he has the ability to fight a 4th generation aircraft, but fighting a 5th generation aircraft is just going to be too much for Rooster, and his F-18 is going to take a critical hit that's going to make him go down in enemy territory. Maverick at this point is back home, and he's doing some finalized testing on the SR-72. He's continuing to date Penny, and that romance is budding beautifully. Maverick's going to get a call from General Warlock, who's going to let him know what happened. He's going to let him know that Rooster has gone down and his whereabouts are unknown. This is when Maverick knows that he has to assemble a team. It's when the character in the story gets committed and knows that he has no other choice. He has to abandon the SR-72 project, but there's actually a big catch. As Maverick speaks to higher brass, to General Warlock and others, he learns that there's a mission in the works that has to be prosecuted first before they can even think about going in to save Rooster. Now at this point, they don't know if Rooster is in enemy hands or where he is. They've just gotten a few bits of feedback from a beacon that is attached to the survival kit that was in Rooster's F-18. Maverick's gonna learn that the mission he's gonna have to execute is going to be to get an F-35, a 5th generation aircraft, up to altitude and launch an air-launched cruise missile from that aircraft to go deep into enemy territory and to take out a weapons of mass destruction creation facility. In order to do this, Maverick is going to have to go back and learn how to train on the F-35. But this is a rescue mission as well, and this is where things get really interesting. Maverick's going to learn that the Air Force has a secret squadron of F-35s that have 2 seats and they're used for high value extraction operations to get heads of state and other extremely important people out of areas where they might get assassinated. The F-35 is one of the most challenging jets to fly because of its vertical takeoff and landing configuration and the 2 seats that make it not quite as stable as the single seat model of the F-35, which can take off and land vertically. Now, for the record, the F-35 has a short field takeoff option, but it can't completely take off vertically. But for the movie, we're gonna make sure that it can. Maverick's gonna go back to training with this secret pararescue squadron, and he's gonna go through the crucible of training where it looks like he might not make it because the task is so hard to hover and land this 2-seat aircraft. During training, there is gonna be a mishap where one of Maverick's close friends comes close to death, or maybe even doesn't make it. And this is the moment where Maverick has to ask himself, is this mission actually worth it? If there's a chance of losing someone in training, is there actually a way to get someone out of a combat situation, get them home safe while executing the air-launched cruise missile mission? And it's known that Maverick's gonna have to go up against 5th generation fighters in this new 2-seat F-35. So is that even gonna be possible? Well, it's gonna be shown that this F-35 definitely has extreme dogfighting capabilities. Its ability to carry payload is pretty epic as well, considering that it's a single engine F-35. So Maverick's crew, Payback, Phoenix, Hangman, they're all gonna be trained up on this 2-seat F-35 variant. The crew's gonna arrive in the Middle East during the cover of darkness, and they know that they're gonna have to execute their mission, most likely at night, which has never been done before in the 2-seat variant of the F-35. The F-35s are gonna launch under the cover of darkness, going in low level to not only be cloaked by darkness, but to be cloaked by mountains as well. Since they're stealth aircraft, they have the opportunity to pop up and fly at middle to high altitudes, but they're also taking a risk at that point that more advanced radars might actually be able to see their stealth aircraft. As they're making their way into the country with their air-launched cruise missiles, they're going to encounter more Su-75s. Now, these Su-75s are going to come basically out of nowhere because of their advanced stealth capability. Maverick and his crew are going to turn and burn with these Su-75s, and ultimately they might not be able to get their air-launched cruise missiles off because they're so distracted with the air war. Since the air war is way heavier than Maverick thought, he's gonna split up his formation. He's gonna have 2 aircraft prosecute the air-to-air threat and turn and burn with the Su-75s and do their best dogfighting, while the other 2 launch their air-launched cruise missiles and then dive for the deck to try to get to the location where the last known beacon symbol was heard from Rooster's seat beacon. As the 2 aircraft near the area where the beacon was last heard, they start to encounter fire. And at this point, they don't think they're gonna make it, but out of nowhere, the other 2 F-35s roll in, drop air-to-ground munitions, and destroy the threat that was trying to shoot these other 2 F-35s as they're doing their vertical landing. At this point, these 2 F-35s create a formation around where Rooster was, and they're able to get Rooster out of harm's way into the backseat of the F-35. But now they've got to fight their way out. And they're not only going to go up against Su-75s, but also Su-57s and other advanced threats that they haven't even heard of before. And this is just the beginning of the Top Gun Maverick 3 story. Stay tuned for more on Top Gun 3 and then potentially Top Gun 4. If you enjoyed this video, please check out another video. It would mean a lot to me. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on that next video.